All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And hello all from the West Coast to the East Coast to Middle America to the rest of the world. We are on. It is a pleasure to be with you on this Friday. Kim is here.
Albert, thank you.
No, Kim is who I was looking for.
Kim, how are you?
Yes. Albert is here.
Albert, thank you.
Yes, chit. I noticed Kim actually posting in the chat, Mark will be ready in a couple of minutes.
Well, people were like, is there a show today? And I was like, oh, Lord,
my
of course
God.
there's a show today. Yes.
I'm on the one hand, I was glad that Kim took the initiative and provided that explanation to those who would care. On the other hand, it completely embarrasses me that we didn't start right on time, and my cover to blame Kim is kind of blown because she is saying Mark will be ready in a few minutes. I could still say, sure, Kim, that's great that you would post that when you know you're the reason for the delay. You know, that would be that I could do.
Kim, how are you?
I'm just saying that I'm just saying that my normal mechanisms for covering my ass were pretty much it was
they are kissing my ass.
Yeah, I know. No, this is covering and kissing are two different things. I blame Tony, says Trevor Starr. Yeah, it was
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Anyway, I was not wasting time before the show, Penny. I assure you. We were doing earnest work on this end. So I am delighted to have everybody here. Those of you who join us regularly are a great asset to our show. And those who share our show and those who kind of fall into it and might be passing through, you're a great asset too.
They are kissing my ass.
Yeah, they're kissing my assets today. Romania Animal Rescue, Inc. Come on, Romania Animal Rescue, Inc.
Really nice.
A $20 super sticker. Thank you so much. Really generous. What a great way to finish the week. Mm-hmm. And I'm involved in a lot of animal issues, and it's really cool that they are on board here regularly. I'd say they are a wondrous part of our audience. I love the show, says Angela Silva. I need more of Angela Silva. I need more of love the show. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
By the way, I did get a couple of cool emails with things that people wanted me to see and share potentially on the show. And
I've received a lot of positive letters.
In truth, I wanted in one particular instance to share something on migrants and the migrant community in agriculture and just in America. And the reason I can't, and this is just something to keep in mind, if there's music attached to a documentary source or something like that, it disqualifies it almost immediately from something that we can share on the air. I still will watch it and I will, take it in, but I'm really hamstrung on sharing it because of all the reasons that we, copyright restrictions and that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's a crazy Hegseth video that Kim sent with him and with some drones in the background, and he was trying to show off how macho he is. But there's Metallica music, so we can't show it to you guys today.
Hegseth is truly playing Pentagon chief, right? I mean, there's a lot of cosplay and there's a lot of just sort of the theater of government, not really governing, but the theater of government going on from the top positions I'm talking about. The Billionaires Boys Club of Trump's cabinet, they basically are there pushing papers and bowing to the king. The king himself, I'll get that to Chaplain Fred in a second. The king himself, of course, we know is utter incompetent, right? I mean, he blithers, he blathers, he impulsively says things about everything from tariffs to the migrant community. We're not going to deport migrants. farm workers. Oh, no, wait a minute. We are going to deport 100% of everybody in this country who's not here legally. We are not going to have weapons or any more support for Ukraine. Wait a minute. We're going to send weapons to Ukraine. Gosh, I didn't know. We had interrupted those shipments to Ukraine. Now we're going to reinitiate those shipments to Ukraine. You can tell he's barely showing up, right? He's there in a theatrical, performative capacity, okay? And so is Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth isn't running anything. This is the video we're showing you.
This is it's a drone promo video, and they say it's so wacky it almost looks like it could be some kind of SNL skit, but it's a real promo video that he made about these drones.
I mean, and this is the stuff that he does, right? I mean, this is the stuff that he's used to doing. He was a Fox News Channel host on the weekend, and he's running the Pentagon now. So this drone video thing, and we're showing it to you now, he is making these videos because that's what he's best at, messaging. And the reality is he does nothing substantive that is good for America. And Pete Hegseth is not respected at the Pentagon. He's gotten rid of most of his top advisors. There he is getting some message from a drone plane. So, how many times did they shoot this? How many hours were involved with this? How many different people had to help produce this video for him? I mean, it's really embarrassing and on some level gross that he would do this crap.
I've never seen anything come out of the Pentagon like this. Usually they don't need to convince me that what they're spending money on is the right thing for the country. Usually the Department of Defense just does what it does, moves in the shadows, and I don't need to know, right?
And I get the idea, by the way, that in the new media verse that we operate in, that you kind of want to get some messaging out there, et cetera. But I don't think this is the time for it. And I don't think you, as Kim says, need it in any way. And we're already bought in, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, we get it. You got a big budget. And in Doge land, when they went through and dismantled all of government, got rid of USAID, really dismantled most of EPA, went through and made huge cuts at the IRS, went through and scraped the U.S. Treasury for personal information on many Americans, all under the umbrella of rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. They didn't do one thing. At minimum, go for the most wasteful agency in all of Washington and in all of American history, and that is the Pentagon. They didn't come across the Potomac to where you work, Pete Hegseth, did they? No, you still sit on this huge budget, and you're blowing a little bit of it on some video about drones. And by the way, you don't farm it out and do a video about drones that explains to the American people the power of drones and why drones are important or whatever. You don't just leave it to that. You make yourself the star of the video. Why? Because that's who you are. You're a weekend host from Fox News Channel. My career in media dwarfs yours. Okay? It's not a competition, but I'm saying if it were, I would win on the media stuff. But because you can speak well and you look good, you end up running the effing Pentagon and putting out videos like that one. Anyway, that's the Pete Hegseth, I think, is an offensive creature because he does control so much of American military policy. And you saw him single-handedly interrupt shipments of arms to Ukraine without telling the president of the United States. Now, to be fair to Hegseth, maybe the president of the United States is so checked out. Hey, man, I would have told him, but he's out on the 7th hole and at Bedminster golfing. I didn't want to bother him. He's busy watching Fox News Channel and eating French fries, whatever the deal is. I mean, Trump is not really doing anything that's associated with competence. I'd suggest that most of what we see Donald Trump do is what he's doing, meaning once the cameras are off, he's not playing president anymore. there's no use having a meeting unless it's televised, is pretty much where Trump is coming from. Meantime, this is the cult of Donald Trump as Superman. This is a new, what is this? What do you call this, Kim? What do you kids call this?
It's more than a meme because it looks like the White House is retweeting and posting, right? So I don't know. I guess an official meme.
Albert, what do you call this thing? It's a picture of Trump as Superman, but it's not like like the, you know, his meme coin things that were sort of his face in various, also they had those collectible cards where Trump is a cowboy, Trump is a military soldier, this is Trump as Superman. This is a little less cartoonish and more ethereal. You know, it's more, I don't know.
It's kind of propaganda, but it's also kind of like I guess Superman's in the news with the movies.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, I always try to be fair. Like if they had done something like this with Biden, would I have been, you know, I would have thought, I don't know, dude, it's kind of just stupid. Why would you do it? I suppose that would be my view. The problem is that this is a cult of Donald Trump that really does buy into the fact that, you know, he is, in a sense, he is like a superhero when it comes to America. So that's what scares me about it. But
it's also odd to see like Kim said, the actual White House account on Twitter posting
this.
Just,
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So if someone had done this for Biden, it would have been some fan somewhere and it would have been circling on the internet, but the actual White House would not have put their name behind it. That's not done. That's not professional. That's not how we roll. Yes. Here we have the White House. They're the first to be like, oh, look at Trump as Superman. Isn't he the best? It almost, you're right, though. It almost looks like he's ascending to heaven or something.
Yeah, looks like a holy Superman, says Katie Lynch. I think that's exactly right.
Holy Superman.
I mean, they really have mixed deliberately the world of the divine and the world of the superhero world, you know. So, anyway, that's the latest with crazy drop in time for the Superman movie.
They put it out and automatically people started criticizing it and making fun of it and saying, what do you mean he's Superman? He's the villain in the story. He's not the Superman in the story. Come on now. He's the worst of the worst.
America's been taken over by an evil villain.
So the White House, their comment with this is the symbol of hope, truth, justice, the American way, Superman Trump. That's what they posted.
Wow, dude, there really is. America's become the tackiest place on earth, as well as just the most embarrassing place on earth. Sadly, there's a real price to be paid. Not so much for this crap, but for these people being in charge. Louis says, a latest silly MAGA controversy. I saw Superman yesterday, and sorry, Superman is literally an illegal alien. Focusing on this fact makes nothing woke. Yeah, it is true that he did come without any, as I don't know the paperwork on Superman, but he did arrive sort of in an unusual way. I thought those Superman, and maybe you know this, Albert, and Snyder will be here in the second hour, who really knows this world. But didn't Superman come wrapped as a little kid? Sort of, he was found by his parents.
Yeah,
in like a field
I think
somewhere.
So. Yeah, from Krypton, he was dropped off.
Right. So his actual origin story, in terms of, you know, from what country he came, that kind of thing, that was a little bit cloudy. So maybe a lot of people thought he was an American. He was raised as an American, American kid, right?
It wasn't quite the birthright citizenship, but it's
exactly.
It was around the time of birth of his arrival.
Yeah. Superman wears his underpants on the outside of his pants. I never even thought of that before. Kevin Kraft notes, It's true. It's true. It takes a real man to wear your underpants on the outside of your pants, I think. Yeah.
And look good doing it.
And look good doing it. Yeah. And the key there is that he makes the underpants red. Were they not red, you'd go, why is he wearing his underwear on the outside? But because they're red, they look like it's the uniform, right? And that's part of the deal.
I mean, if
Super
I'm
Taco
feeling
Man,
distressed and I see a man with his underwear on the outside of his pants, I'm calling 911 on him. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
no, you're right. It
really-
is a 5150 situation. Chaplain Fred says, Super Taco Man. Thank you, Chaplain Fred. Also, Chaplain Fred says, hi, Mark, Kim, and Albert. This is a $9.99, $10 super chat. I see you looking much better, Mark. Prayer works, Mark. Thank you for your show, Mark. Makes my day. Well, thank you, Chaplain Fred. It makes my day to have your day made by me.
Big shout out.
Big shout out. Yeah, I still have this horrible back thing, but it's slightly better.
That's good.
Someone stole my Coachella Valley coffee. I was mugged, says Harry Magden. I
No,
get it. I think
I get
that's a
it.
play on. Yeah, I think that's a play on mugged. I do have my new guilty pleasure.
Is that the lion's mane?
Mm-hmm.
My husband's
It's the
loving
lion's
it.
mane. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I love it. I'm telling you guys, go with whatever coffee scratches your itch. Go with whatever coffee you like. But man, this lion's mane is so good, and we just make it like a regular,
Yeah.
into the coffee maker, pour over kind of coffee. And so again, it's CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Check it out, and you get 10% off. Mark T at checkout is our discount. There it is. Clarity Blend is what it's called. Lion's Mane Coffee. We got a 2-pound bag, and it is delicioso. I'll tell you, here it
Really nice.
is. So good. So good, so good, so good. All right.
And with
so
every sip, Mark gets smarter. Isn't that great?
I only wish it were true. All right, let's.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Beth Farmer says with a $19.99 $20 super chat. Now they're going after NOAA. This won't end well for the West Coast. I think nothing good is happening in terms of dismantling many of these American institutions associated with climate, associated with weather forecasting, and associated with tracking trends, climatological trends, weather trends, geological trends. These are all things that fall under NOAA's control. Nothing good, I agree with you, will come from all of a sudden unplugging this vitally important agency, particularly at this time in the evolution of this planet. I mean, we're going through unprecedented weather events, unprecedented climate change, and you cannot endure this. You cannot prepare for this without some kind of sense of what is happening. And you need so much in the way of analysis to actually prepare and endure all of these things as a society, as a civil society, endure it well. Now, it involves a lot of red states, and this administration sees everything as red-blue, us versus them.
Yeah.
So the Republicans look at California as them. They shouldn't, because there's plenty of them, meaning red, in California. Outside of LA, San Francisco, Sacramento, you would basically have a red state. And that's one of the things about California that I think people just misunderstand. The population centers certainly are blue. And again, I hate that we only see blue-red, because I think many of us who are registered Democrats or registered independents have aspects of our political philosophy, if you want to look at it, just our outlook on American life, that is washed together. And people who are Republican aren't all MAGA. But anyway, to my point, Texas, Florida, the Carolinas, the Gulf Coast, Louisiana, Mississippi, they will be decimated. Those are all red states I mentioned. They'll be decimated by a supercharged ocean that is birthing some of the most severe weather events in history. This is a bit of my background, and the biggest way that heat energy is transferred from one hemisphere to another, the balancing act that the Earth does, is done through hurricanes. It's done through tropical weather formation. The heat transfer is from the ocean to the atmosphere, right? The transfer of that heat takes the form of tropical weather and hurricanes. I mention that because we know for a fact the oceans are getting warmer. So there's more heat energy. The oceans have to balance it, and they throw it off in the form of these atmospheric creations called hurricanes or typhoons. You're going to see more of them and more severe hurricanes and tropical weather systems with each passing year. That's why you need the National Hurricane Center, you need NOAA, you need the National Weather Service for advisories and for planning, to change everything from the building of seawalls to evacuation plans. So I think they're going to pay a huge price for this. And when I say they, I mean us. We will pay for it. The same is true with fire danger in the West, dryness in the West, drought in the West. And it's not limited to the West. So I agree with you. Thank you. Getting a little behind here. Just, I know Mark Thompson. Pete Hegseth, you are no Mark Thompson.
Nice, Louise.
Thank you.
Excellent. I wanted to make sure that we got to this video yesterday. My heart was pulled from my chest when I saw the post from Governor Gavin Newsom. Seriously, Mark.
I know. That's what I want to get to.
Feel it in your soul.
No, I want to get to where is my...
The Mark Thompson Show.
Now, go ahead, Kim. You can set this up. This is really...
this happened yesterday in California. We alluded to this as the show was ending yesterday, that there was a standoff at a farm. This one, I think you're looking at is in Camarillo, where look at the people running from out of the field. Some of them are children. This is a post from Governor Gavin Newsom. The people are running out of the fields. This boy walking along, you'll see him in a moment, is in tears. Here he is. They arrested his mother. It's horrible. I don't know if we can get the sound or if there's music or something, but he's crushed. These flashbangs, so kids were exposed to chemical agents in this whole thing. It's chaos.
Let me just, I do want to play it, and I do want to hear what he has to say. Let me just mention, you're picking up the action with the video you're seeing and the audio that you're hearing. You're picking up the action after the initial ICE presence. They came to this place. I think it's a pot farm in the Camarillo.
So half of it is a pot farm, and then half of it, they plant on the other part tomatoes and squash.
I see.
And
okay.
The people were picking tomatoes in the field today. They might have been picking marijuana yesterday,
tomatoes,
but it was tomatoes that they're picking.
So what you're witnessing is the reaction to ICE presence and the fact that they've just arrested this kid's mom. And everybody's scattering because as the crowd gathered, they fired off these flashbang grenades, I think they were, and also these, was it tear gas that was, I don't know if it was tear gas technically, but it was some kind of smoke that they have, right?
It was, some type of substance, but I can say that there was a protest that was going on. There was originally it was called a standoff. And so the smoke bombs might have been fired because of the protest, but ended up affecting people that probably shouldn't have been affected. Here's what Gavin Newsom posted along with this video. Kids running from tear gas, crying on the phone because their mother was just taken from the fields. Trump calls me new scum, but he's the real scum. That's from Governor Gavin Newsom.
I mean, it's pretty low rent and pretty awful when you consider these are the vital. Now you're seeing everything in Camarillo. You're seeing the, I guess they look like federal troops, right? They're dressed in military garb. These are all Customs and Border agents. That's what I think is generally emblazoned on the back of their uniform. There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
And you see this federal raid, as is pointed out here, and the pushback and the fear associated with the presence of these federal troops. So you saw the one kid on the phone crying. That's the video, I think, that's achieved some degree of virality. The overarching question of, there he is on the phone. I mean, this kid is, he's a teenager. He's got crap in his eyes and he's calling, panicked. They're detonating smoke devices or something, but this raiding of these agricultural centers, this is a real problem because there's several different facets to this, as we've spoken of, and I think the immigration situation has several different facets. But let's just speak to this. The human cost is immense. As Kim was saying, it's heartbreaking to see this. These people who are working earnestly in the fields, doing work that you cannot get many workers to do, who are American citizens, who have come to this country and have gone through the legal process. Most of them are, by the way, to be fair, many of these farm workers either may be legally here, that is to say, with work permits, or they may be here awaiting some kind of asylum claim, or they may be here illegally. I mean, I'm just without documentation.
Whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you can show me that there's a murderer out in the field, I don't care. These are people
certainly
that are just
aren't the
out there
murderers, the violent.
picking tomatoes. This isn't what we
Right.
voted for.
Sure.
This isn't, or not we, I didn't vote for him, but this isn't what, I don't think this is what people were told. But they said, we're going to get rid of the murderers and the sexual assault folks and the criminals and the thieves and whatever, the drug traffickers. They didn't say that we're going to go after the people that pick the tomatoes in the field and that children were going to be left without parents. Are you kidding me? This isn't what we wanted.
This is yes and no. Let me just speak to this bluntly. The MAGA nation, I understand that they led with violent criminals. We're going to start with them. And as I've told you before, there aren't enough violent criminals. You can't get, even to 1 million violent criminals. It's such a small sliver of the immigrant community in America. Now, it exists. There are gangs and there are illegal, undocumented people in America who are doing some heinous stuff and involved in criminal gangs, etc. But they're not working in the fields. They're not at Home Depot waiting for day labor. They're not at Lowe's. They're not at a high school graduation. They're not at these places where these very high-profile ICE sweeps have been going on. They just aren't. So you end up with what Kim is talking about, which is heartbreaking scenes of parents being arrested, of parents and families being deported. It's a brutal, stomach-turning process. But it is not fair to say what you just said, Kim, which is this isn't what they voted for. This isn't what we expected. No, actually, it is. MAGA Nation is the reason that Trump went back on his original instinct. You'll remember last week saying, maybe we can work something out with the farmers. I've always had a good relationship with the farmers. Mm-hmm. If a farmer will vouch for his workers, then I would think that would be okay. He turned to Kristi Noem and he said, don't you think, Kristi? I think that would be what we would shoot for if the farmers would vouch for them. I think we want to make sure that those farmers have the workers they need. That's what Trump said. 2 days later, he changed course on that. Why? Because MAGA Nation said, no, you said 100% of the undocumented people in America will be sent back, will be taken out, will be deported. And we want 100% of those undocumented immigrants, we want them out. And Trump reversed field to, again, placate MAGA. And where does he hear about MAGA? He hears about it through the MAGA media sphere. Everything from Fox News Channel to the Bannons of the world.
Yeah.
So all I'm trying to say is, Kim, you're sort of right that they led with we're going to get rid of violent criminals, but MAGA Nation wants everybody out who is undocumented. And of course, as you know, the longer term plan is even darker than that.
America let undocumented people be here for decades and looked the other way. Isn't it as much our fault as our collectively as a country? I mean, we didn't do anything. We let it happen. We exploited the labor. So, where's the place of America in all of this?
And this is a part of a much bigger conversation in the history of America. We have exploited labor and undocumented labor for decades. In the birth of this country, the engine of the economy has oftentimes been undocumented labor. I mean, see slavery.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's a huge example. But if you want a more contemporary example, you had the Bracero program, which I've mentioned before. It was a program over decades that allowed for immigrants to come work in generally agricultural communities and get all of that work done legally, and then they would return home to generally Mexico. They got rid of the Bracero program, and here's the irony as to why they got rid of the Bracero program. It was in the 60s they got rid of it. They got rid of it because it was viewed as exploitive. It was viewed as a situation in which the owners of these agricultural businesses could take advantage of these people who weren't really citizens, so they didn't really have rights, and it was viewed as an unfair program to those who were working. So they get rid of the Bracero program, and what happens? They get an even worse program now, which is completely undocumented immigrants coming in, working. By the way, they pay taxes. People don't realize. And then there's this BS in MAGA land, which is they come here, they get services, they're a burden on the public payroll. That's just not necessarily true. They pay into the system as well. And because they work in the darkness and they have to stay in the shadows, they don't get a lot of the benefits that they might actually enjoy were they real citizens or here in some sort of way that was officially stamped. But anyway, back to the point. Kim is right. We have underpinned our economy with this huge, huge immigrant community, most of whom are undocumented. And it's like an open secret. And yet somehow now we're going to flush all those people in a brutal way. And it's going to have an immense effect on the American economy. I mean, if they really run this out for all the reasons we just said, you just have too much of the economy contingent on this workforce. I think there's rough water ahead if they actually run this all out. My dad came as a Bracero in the early 50s, says Gil, then brought my mom in the 70s. Wow, that's wild. That's wild to hear. Uncle Scrooge says with a $5 super chat, I find it funny how MAGA could care less about the companies hiring immigrants. Their hypocrisy has no ends. Yeah, this goes to another aspect of all of this, which is employer sanctions. There are no employer sanctions associated with our immigration policy. It was suggested and even drafted in immigration policy in the 80s that employer sanctions would be imposed so that the employer would be fined for hiring workers who are undocumented. But as was just noted, that really cut too hard. We'd rather, if you will, arrest the prostitutes than arrest the Johns. Okay, I mean, we want to go after the immigrants. We don't want to go after the owner of the slaughterhouse who hires the immigrants. We don't want to go after the owner of the tomato field that hires the immigrants and depends on their labor. We go after the immigrants who are here trying to make a living. Yeah. It's absolutely true. So, this is just looking to see where we are. How do we get so far behind? Gosh, I blame Kim. It's my fault. I really do blame Kim.
I blame you.
All right, maybe it's my fault. I don't know. That's the situation on the feds and that raid in California. California is being made an example because California is opposed to a lot of Trump policies. Gavin Newsom is governor of California, and he obviously is a high-profile political figure. And I think what you're ending up with in California is an example, the theater, the intensity, the brutality of immigration raids. It's being played out in California and particularly Los Angeles, but all of California will bear the brunt of this because it's the easiest example that they can find that they're okay with. They don't care about California on some level in Washington right now. You have a party in power led by Donald Trump that would just as soon see California suffer. Test case for the rest. Yeah, thank you. And Gavin criticizes Trump, and of course that puts him on adversarial footing. But I think even Uncle Russ says, yeah, let's make Gavin look bad. Exactly. I think even if Newsom were trying to placate Trump in some way, and placate would be a ding word, but even if he were trying to make Trump happy and not be critical, I think you'd end up still with this kind of target-rich environment being exploited by ICE and by this administration. So that's the way I see it for now. It's brutal. California is the testing ground for state-sanctioned terrorism. Thank you, Cassandra. I think that's right. I think that's right. I think there's a lot more going on here than just the immigration program and the way they're trying to reshape immigration in America. There's a lot more going on. We've touched on it here before. I mean, federal troops in, the second biggest city in America. It's crazy. And yet that program has been supercharged. The ICE program has been given a tremendous boost financially in this new budget. And it was just approved. So anyway, that's
The Mark Thompson Show.
That's the story there. I also wanted to get to Kash Patel. Kash Patel, who is he's a jihadist, right? He was a MAGA jihadist, and he, as such, strong Donald Trump. I mean, to call him a strong Donald Trump supporter is really to understate it. He was evangelical about MAGA, about Trump, about transparency. Do you have the run, Albert? I sent you his statements about releasing the Epstein files and about total transparency. And if I were in charge, and I think when Donald Trump actually gets into power, it'll be total transparency. Here he was talking to Senator Marsha Blackburn, who's from Tennessee. And this just leads off a little bit of a mashup. And he's talking about the fact that if you confirm me as FBI chief, yes, I will release these Epstein files so everyone can see what's in them. Go ahead, Albert.
I'll talk to you about the Epstein case. I have worked on this for years, trying to get those records of who flew on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking, sex trafficking ring. Now, earlier, I urged then Chairman Durbin to subpoena those records, and I ended up being blocked by Senator Durbin and Christopher Wray. They stonewalled on this. And I know that breaking up these trafficking rings is important to President Trump. So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going to countermand missing children and exploited children going forward.
This is a topic he's talked passionately about before.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Talking about
Simple,
this.
because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list. You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word, or whoever that guy is, as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
In fact, it would seem Kash Patel is quite interested in transparency.
The other thing that I put in the book that I recommended the boss to do, it's on this. We need a 24/7 declassification office.
Yes.
Rolling papers out 24/7. Sits in the White House, reports directly to you, and you take incoming from the United States of America. I want JFK. I want the 9/11 files. I want this. I want that.
All of these things, there needs to be a continuing central power, whether it's the White House or offsite, that says every request that comes in, just right out the door, as long as it's not a major threat to national security.
All right.
You're
So there
talking
you
to a guy
have
that's-
it. This is Kash Patel, who was on a wall-to-wall daily campaign for total transparency and a release of the Epstein files alongside everything else. And now he said, oh, gosh, there's just no there there. It turns out there's nothing. Now that I'm running the FBI and I can release it, and I've said before that the FBI has all the information on Epstein and his black book. Turns out there is no black book. There is no list. There is not. Well, MAGA is truly angry about this, and this has created a bit of an issue. And it's interesting to see this cleavage in MAGA land over this issue, but it is there in a big way.
Did you see that Dershowitz said, there's a list. I know everybody on the list, and I know who doesn't want the list to come out.
Yeah. I saw that Kash Patel's girlfriend is also being swept up in this MAGA conspiracy theory about her. His girlfriend is this 26-year-old, she's a country singer. And they are saying in MAGA land, they're saying that, let me just find you the quote. Most of the rage is directed at Patel and Bondi, but they're accusing his girlfriend of being a spy. This is Patel's girlfriend for the Mossad, insinuating that the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad is somehow behind the Epstein files closure, like the decision to, hey, case closed, we're moving on, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
She says it's ridiculous. Her name is Alexis Wilkins. I've spent my career saying no to anything that would compromise my character and working to restore America. It's disappointing to see people with no real contribution to political discourse spin ridiculous conspiracy theories out of thin air. Hey, talk to your boyfriend. He has been spinning the conspiracy theory since he has been on mic anywhere on any podcast. So the MAGA nation, as you know, they want blood. They want, and they want results. You promised us you were going to release this stuff.
They put a video out that Albert and I found. It's from this GOP-led group, and they pulled video from, Trump saying different things. And here's the video. Check it out. It's from the home of the brave, this GOP-led group.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, Donald, we are still talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Why? Maybe it's because Epstein said he was your closest friend.
That was closest friend.
Or that you repeatedly flew on Epstein's private jet. Or that you called Jeffrey Epstein a terrific guy who likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. Or that your Secretary of Labor was the prosecutor who let Epstein avoid federal sex trafficking charges. Or that when Epstein's co-conspirator was arrested for facilitating the sexual abuse of minors, you said that—
I just wish her well.
Or that Elon Musk, your biggest donor and White House senior advisor, said you were in the Epstein files. Or that your attorney general said—
breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released. A lot of names, a lot of information.
Or that your FBI director said—
on day one, roll out the black book.
This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a suicide.
Or that your deputy director of the FBI said—
that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense.
So, Donald, the reason everyone is still talking about Jeffrey Epstein is because Americans want answers.
That's great. And that's really terrific. I mean, that's essentially putting Trump on the griddle where he belongs on this stuff. And it's putting MAGA to the test because they're all show and no go. We're on the outside. The political arithmetic associated with Donald Trump's success has largely been the result of him being an outsider. It was the way that he won the election in 2016. It's why it was a little bit more of a lift when he came back. And in winning the presidency the second time, I always felt like one of the things that was weird was he's not an outsider anymore. He has a track record, but as an outsider, this is part of it. They're keeping it from you. The truth is that these files exist and you should see them. And MAGA Nation believed that these files are going to be released. And people like Patel were helping to fan the flames of, we're going to get those files released. All we need is to be back in charge of the FBI and law enforcement. Well, here you have Bondi, Patel. You're in control of everything. And Donald Trump is president. And just as it was when he was president the first time, they're not released. And the startling thing and the stark thing is the about face that Bondi and Patel have done. It's just not credible. I mean, they go from the files on my desk, I'm reviewing the materials, to, oh, there's nothing. Look, there's nothing. As it turns out, there's nothing to see. There's so much about the Epstein case that clearly has something associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy interacted with some of the most powerful people on earth, on his plane and on the manifest that tracks all the people on the plane. There was one luminary after another, everybody from Bill Gates to Bill Clinton. So I think the politics of it is interesting, but the facts somehow must really be damning, right? I don't know why else there would be a total shutdown. But I would say that MAGA, I don't know to what extent they're going to try to placate MAGA or make MAGA happy, but you almost have to serve them up somebody. Like they want somebody thrown out as a result of this, I would think. But the Epstein video about that basically stacks together all of these demands for the release of the information that we just shared with you. I mean, I think it states the case pretty bluntly. Meantime, I want to just quickly, can I get to the tariff stuff, Albert? Quickly, I know I have Florida too, don't I?
Yeah. We could quickly do it. I think we could just we could quickly do Florida. I think they're pretty
they can be done quickly. We will do Friday Fabulous Florida as a palate cleanser in a moment, but I just want to mention, because we are closing in on the 90 days for 90 deals proclamation that Donald Trump made. You remember that he promised a lightning round of global trade negotiations, dozens of countries, and this was his statement back in April. Well, we're at the end of that 90-day period, and
how many deals, Mark?
None. Now, there are concepts of a deal.
Oh.
Remember
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
I have concepts of a plan.
Right. So the concepts of a deal are out there. But even those that he was claiming he had a deal with, there's no real deal in place. I'm talking about Great Britain, Vietnam, and there's some pretty big trade-offs, in particular with the Vietnam deal, where they greenlit a Trump resort there in Vietnam, and they literally displaced a bunch of people who were living along the area of real estate that needs to be developed for Trump's resort. So they bumped these people out. They greenlit the project without any regard to a bunch of environmental restrictions that they worry about certain things when it comes to developments of this size. They got rid of all of that to fast track his resort and break ground on it in Vietnam. And in return, the idea was, you'll drop the 46% tariffs and we'll get a really great tariff arrangement with you. And that cake was supposed to have already been baked. But now it looks like it's not baked. And so you end up with a situation that, frankly, we kind of felt might materialize. 90 deals in 90 days, as Rich says, was an epic failure. Foreign countries don't trust Trump. Only brain dead people do. Okay, maybe. Only a fool would make a deal with Trump, says IPX Studios. It does appear that there is not much to recommend any kind of deal with Trump because he is so mercurial. You know, he is so wedded to his own instincts day to day, hour to hour. Look at what's happened with Canada. Now he wants to impose a 35% tariff on Canadian goods. How about what's happening in Brazil? A 50% tariff on Brazil and Brazilian goods because of the way they're treating Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro is being tried because of an attempted coup that Bolsonaro engineered and trying to overturn the results of the election in Brazil. So these are, you know, and Bolsonaro's his pal. Apparently, a pal enough that he has gone after Brazil, and Brazil's saying, America, if you really are serious about imposing a 50% import tax on our goods, we will impose a reciprocal tax. I think we have a positive when it comes. So when he comes through with this, you know, well, this is how I come up with do you have that, Albert, the tariffs? He kind of shares the tariff computation. Here is Trump answering a question about how he comes up with, yeah, go ahead, how he comes up with the tariffs.
Sir, can you explain how you calculated your latest round of tariffs? Was there a formula that was used? And do you expect any of these countries to face tariffs as well?
The formula was a formula based on common sense, based on deficits, based on how we've been treated over the years, and based on raw numbers.
Do you expect any of the countries here to face tariffs as well?
I haven't thought of it, but maybe, I don't know. Let's see, I like him, and him. No, I don't think so. Not too much. He's very good. He's a friend of mine now.
Yeah. So, you know, this is the arbitrary way in which Donald Trump has basically no actual arithmetic behind the tariffs. There's not even really a philosophy that makes any sense behind the tariffs, but he is singular in wanting to impose these tariffs, and these things will drag down the American economy. We're beginning to see the inkling of this, but I think there will be more. We'll talk to Jim Avila about it in just a moment. I do want to quickly get to it. It's a palate cleanser that we like to share with you on Fridays. Comes out of the state that, let's face it, a lot of states serve up crazy, but you can always count on one state to really come through with crazy. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
An elderly Florida man's drunken rampage ends in arrest after a failed fire engine heist.
Oh, no. Wait, what?
There is a lot going on in this story. Yes, according to this report, a woman reporting that her husband, William Cobb, was drinking and drinking and drinking for several days. He'd fallen and he couldn't get up. When the fire rescue unit responded in Hernando County, Florida, it was reported that Cobb grabbed a tire iron and started moving toward them. They were there to help him, Kim, but he didn't realize that. They left the house because you really can't help a guy who's swinging a tire iron at you. Then he got a shotgun from the bedroom and started threatening the personnel there to help him, saying, quote, "I have not killed anyone, but today may be the day."
Oh.
Hernando County Sheriff's Office is saying that after threatening the medics, this guy proceeded toward the fire engine parked outside the home. And what did he do, Kim? He got into the driver's seat of the fire engine.
What?
And despite his intoxication, he tried to drive the fire engine, but he couldn't disengage the air brake.
Yeah. I was going to say, that might not be as easy as it sounds.
Deputies arrived shortly after. They found him still in the vehicle, trying to discharge that parking brake. It's tough.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And when
They do this to me all the
deputy-
time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
They opened the door to remove him, and the 74-year-old began to fight with them.
Oh, man.
He was pulled from the truck ultimately with the help of another deputy. It took 2 deputies to take this 74-year-old out of the cab. And then he was arrested after being cleared medically.
You have to love his stick-to-itiveness, you know?
Yeah, he had a plan, and he wasn't going to get off of that plan.
I'm willing to bet my lunch.
Yeah, it seems like there was a lot of alcohol.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
So, you know, you got to have that predisposition to let that alcohol take you to the place where you're trying to release the parking brake on a fire engine. Florida man surviving nearly 2 weeks. He was lost in the Himalayas.
What?
Yeah. A Florida family celebrating this miraculous reunion after their son found alive in India following a harrowing 9-day ordeal lost in the Himalayas. Sam Vengrinovich, Florida native, found alive in India. He'd been hiking alone on Triund Hill. He slipped in dense fog, falling down a mountainside, suffering multiple fractures.
Wow.
No way to contact for help. He survived by drinking his own, anybody? Urine is what we were looking for. Yes, that's always a last resort, but seems to
That's
be
a man
tried
who's
and
watched his fair share of those Bear Grylls shows.
Yes. He also was eating insects, grass, and berries. His family lives in Palm Coast, Florida. They were notified of his disappearance. And apparently, I mean, they don't still know whether he had a GPS tracker on him or a satellite phone, but anyway, he's okay now. And the family, you can imagine, a lot of hugs and tears. And what can one say? But congratulations on getting back. And apparently, he liked the urine so much, he's staying with it, he said, even when he, good for him. You know, sometimes you...
Don't you usually go hiking like that with a buddy? You never go alone. And also, don't people hire guides to take them through the Himalayas?
No, I mean, if he's a skilled, backcountry traveler, there are those who travel by themselves. The thing that's weird is usually they do, if you're going into remote areas, have GPS tracking and satellite phones. Even when I went into Africa and I was going with an organized group, I brought a satellite phone with me because I was going to Tanzania in sort of this remote area. And I thought, if I do get separated from my group, I want this satellite phone. They're kind of a little pricey, but kind of worth it.
Mhm.
So I don't know if he had any of that. It wouldn't appear that he did. But anyway, he got lost. So clearly he didn't have necessarily a GPS monitoring. And finally, in Florida, a man on a honeymoon dies. That's a really bad honeymoon.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. He was struck by lightning on a Florida beach. 29-year-old walking on the beach dies.
That's crazy.
Standing in shallow water with blue sky over him. Jake Rosenkrantz from New Smyrna Beach. This is considered quite rare for someone to be struck by lightning from a storm that is several miles away. But nonetheless, it's a grim reminder, Kim. You're lucky that your nuptials are behind you. There's no honeymoon in your future,
No.
but you do enjoy wading in the water.
I
as
do.
Yes, and this could be
And I did get married on
cautionary tale.
I got married on a beach, but this is wild. This guy just standing in the water on the shore on a day where there's blue clouds overhead. That's like a sign.
He was in ankle-deep water under clear skies. Lightning struck him about 12:30 in the afternoon.
Wow.
No storm immediately upon him. He was there with his new wife, Leah, on a delayed honeymoon. Very, very sad. This 29-year-old is no longer. On the plus side, Leah's available. That's all I'm saying. Is that, you know what? Too soon. We have
Very,
to.
very much so.
I'm really sorry about that. I want to apologize. I really do want to apologize for that.
I mean, Florida also a stat in this article. Florida does lead the country in lightning strikes, lightning fatalities. So
Oh, wow. Of course. I guess that makes sense.
Beware. On top of the many things you should be afraid of in Florida, also the lightning.
Yeah. Gosh, it's really. Anyway, I do want to apologize to the family.
My words upset so many people.
Exactly. Thank you. Now let's review. We must pick a favorite, and I want to get to Jim Avila and the look at the week that we've.
Yeah, please just no poll this week. I'm trying to get the show rolling for Jim Avila.
Elderly Florida man drunken rampage ends in arrest after the failed fire engine heist. He was drunk and he tried to jack a fire engine after swinging. You'll remember the tire iron at those who were there to help him. And then, of course, he pulled a shotgun on that same crew. Also, the Florida man surviving nearly 2 weeks lost in the Himalayas. And finally, the man not surviving, struck by lightning as he waded in ankle-deep water on a blue sky day. What is your favorite? What is the
chat
Florida
loves
story
the fire
that
engine
spoke to
heist.
you? What's that?
Yeah.
Fire engine
Yeah,
heist?
the chat is loving the fire engine heist.
Yeah, it pretty much had everything. It has alcohol, has the guy swinging the tire iron, and then he got the shotgun, then he goes for the fire. I mean, it really was. It was like one of those Netflix series. There's another episode coming. No, he's going to be done. No. He's getting into the fire engine. No. He's even getting him out of the fire engine. It took 2 officers to do it.
I do like the Himalayas guy because I'm sure Florida, he was waiting for that moment minus the cold. If you could survive in Florida, you could survive the Himalayas.
There is that.
just get a thicker jacket.
That's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It was great. I loved it.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
Morning.
You cannot say you love your country.
Where are my weed smokers at? Stay at home and get baked.
Right on, everybody, on this Friday. Thank you for being here. We are a live show with you every day from 2 until 4 p.m. on the East Coast. Shout out to the East Coast. And 11 to 1 in the West. On Fridays, we like to visit with a distinguished journalist, Peabody Award-winning, Murrow Award-winning, Emmy Award-winning, former White House correspondent, lead national correspondent for ABC News. Wow, he's the real thing. He is our wonderful Jim Avila. Michael Schur is off today. I don't know where he is, but we've got Avila. So I still feel very, very good about things. There is Jim in his most handsome publicity shot as we talk to Avila. Avila speaking to us, I think, from you've hit some clear air turbulence health-wise, but I'm glad that you are still with us, Jim. I feel like you're rallying a bit now. Oh, do we have Jim or not? No? I don't
Jim,
hear
you
him.
might want to just duck out and come back. We're not getting your signal right now.
Yeah. But I'm not going to give you that big intro again. I think I've already done that. So you'll come back in without the big intro.
Those of you who will watch the breakout will probably have that great intro still.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably start
nothing
right.
happened.
We'll cut out this part of the on the breakout video. But
yeah, Jim, if you could just head out and then rejoin the stream, please.
Let's should we remove him and then get him back? Is that the way to do it? Here. What do you think? Is that the way to do it?
Yeah, I just
Oh, you did it? Okay, good. What I want to get in, just to put a fine point on it, I want to talk about what we've seen in the last week. And one of the things we've seen, we touched on in the first hour, and a couple of things we've touched on, but I want to get Avila's take on it. I also want to sort of speak about how it's being covered in media. And that's this, again, cleavage that's developed in the party, in the MAGA party. And whether there really is a political price to be paid for that, or whether it will be just sort of a footnote to what's going on. Jim, can you hear us all right?
I hear you fine, Mark. Sorry
Okay,
about that.
great. No sweat. So I'll get to what I was just talking about, which is the cleavage within the MAGA movement and the MAGA party in a second. But I want to first start with immigration. You've done a lot of reporting on immigration. You've reported from the southern border, I mean, recently. And you know that this is a hot button issue. It's one of the things that propelled the MAGA movement into the White House and control of government. The heavy-handed nature of these raids and what's happening, heartbreaking, stomach-turning to see families torn apart, to see earnest workers, everyone from those picking up jobs for day work at Home Depot and Lowe's to those who are working in these various agricultural businesses, as we saw in Camarillo, California yesterday. Can you speak to this policy and how you see it being played out and the possible repercussions?
Well, there does seem to be several splits in MAGA world along the way, and this is one of them, where Trump himself has been listening to farmers who are a big constituency of the Republicans and who say that they need the workers and to stop arresting them and stop the raids. And then there's the other side who believes there should be a crackdown on every person who has brown skin should be kicked out of the country. Now, what they're going to find out, and I've been saying this from the beginning, is they're going to find out is that what are you going to do about your food that's being picked? What are you going to do about the food being cooked in your restaurants? Those folks are largely Latino. Some of them are undocumented. Some of them are. But in the meantime, there was going to be some kind of exemption. But I think that Trump has gone back on the exemption. You can't. You can't depend on him for anything. That's the problem that business has with Donald Trump, is that they can't do any planning because, well, wait a minute, he's going to take all our workers away. Well, maybe he's not going to take all our workers away. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think this is really true. That in fact, it was bizarre to see him kind of do the about face on the deportations associated with farming, and then do the second about face on the first about face.
Yeah.
He was clearly doing that in response to MAGA. There is this split. There is part of MAGA that wants 100% of those who are in the country illegally to be deported. And then there is a sense that could upend the economy because, as you suggested, so much of the American economy is dependent on this class of worker that is here illegally, undocumented.
Yeah, and the issue for Trump continues to be which constituency does he cater to. Now, he's been pretty successful on splitting the difference. I mean, he did this in abortion during the election, right? He's the one who appointed all the judges to get abortion overturned. And then he comes out in the campaign and says, well, I'm not for not for a total abortion ban. And a lot of the MAGA folks were not happy about that. But he survived. And now it looks like, we'll see what's going to happen with the deportation issue, how he's going to survive in that too, because, I don't want to use the word finesse because it's not finesse. It's, he has been able to talk his way out of some pretty sticky situations. And because he's never had to be accountable for anything, and that's the sad part, is that he's never been, and there's still nobody holding him accountable. It's even worse than I thought it would be after he was elected. That it's gotten to he can do no wrong.
Yeah,
the Supreme Court's
really
on his side.
Nothing sticks to him. The Teflon aspects that have been spoken of really are on full display. And
what they show you is that he's right when he says all you got to do is say it over and over again and loudly, and with some kind of conviction, and people will believe it. People will, fall right in that chasm, which they have, which is really a shame.
Helped enormously by a right-wing propaganda machine. I mean, I never want to leave that out because that really does help. And even the playing it down the middle or both sidesing that the media does, and I know you've written about this and thought about this a lot, they really met their match in Donald Trump, because by playing it down the middle, you just end up repeating what you're talking about, which is, statements that are manifestly false or really not connected to any kind of reality, like 90 deals in 90 days, et cetera. And you end up with him able to make that BS work. And again, I think it really is demonstrably BS. I mean, it's just stuff he says in the moment. I understand that politicians do this, Jim, but this guy takes it to high art,
Yeah, and it's really a shame. Our government's become the Fast Eddie of world governments. Now, those of you who don't never been in New York don't really. It's Fast Eddie, right? Isn't that what it is? Mark?
Crazy Eddie or
Crazy Eddie, yeah. So this guy comes on, Crazy Eddie, and he'll promise you 90 deals in 90 days and then not deliver any of them. Well, that's what, that's exactly what Trump, he's turned our government into the same thing. The other governments can't depend on him. The businesses in our country can't depend on him. It's really a shame.
So, ultimately, these tariffs, threat of tariffs, massaging of tariffs, manipulation around various trade deals or trade negotiations, they will have an effect on the economy, Jim. And this can't, we're dodging the effects thus far. He's 6 months in, but there's a long way to go, and this will have an effect on the American economy.
Yeah, eventually businesses are going to have a hard time trying to find a place to hide those tariffs, as far as passing them on to the consumer. But how can they not be passed on to the consumer? Because it's not, explaining this again and again is getting old, because people should realize it by now. That what the issue is that China doesn't pay the tariff.
Yeah.
We pay the tariff, and until America is hit by that, it's he's just going to try to keep putting it off until, one more 90-day sale, after one more 90-day sale.
I want to get to Kash Patel in a moment and what's happening at the FBI. But before I do, I wanted to speak to something else that happened this week, and that was the emergence of Musk leading a potential third party or alternative party. And this is all part of the Trump-Musk feud. It's ironic in the extreme, because I believe without Musk, it might have been a much tougher election for Donald Trump. He owned an incredibly powerful social media company and still does in X or Twitter. And he dumped a gargantuan amount of money into getting the Trump message out, and actually went out and campaigned with him, rallied with him and created a kind of energy. There's even a suggestion, I think as you went primary to primary, or state by state, I should say, and he was registering all these people with the inducement of maybe winning $1 million, et cetera. In other words, Musk was doing more than just funding the parade. He was leading the parade. So to see him in a back and forth with Trump, this is after he's given the keys to the kingdom and dismantled most of government that was on his back from a regulatory standpoint. It's just a wild development. So the against that backdrop, he has funded a party, the America Party, I guess it's called. And I wonder if you could speak to what he could do with it. I suppose he could possibly win or target a few states and a few elections, and in that way make some inroads, right, Jim?
Well, we do know that he can't run for president, so he's not going to use it for that. But I think that what he can use it is the same way he used it for Trump, and that is fund the causes that he's basically a libertarian. Who doesn't want any government regulation or any any government taxes, or especially regulation on his businesses. So that's what he's going to be pushing for, and I guess he'll be funding Senate candidates, congressional candidates that will help him with that mission.
Exactly.
Because his mission is greed. It's nothing. There's nothing else besides that. So I mean, it's not like he's in it for public service, as if Trump is in it for public service. The encouraging thing that I find is that is happening this week, and that hopefully gives me some of that hope that you will try to stomp out here in a minute. But is that the Republicans actually handed the Democrats an issue. So the Democrats didn't have an issue. They didn't have anything to run on. And now they have Medicaid. And, that was a gift from the Republicans to the Democrats, because that issue could be the abortion issue of what was 2022, could be the abortion issue of 2024, is going to be, I don't think tariffs. I really don't. I think it's going to be, this business of taking people off of their health care and to taking them off of food stamps, SNAP or whatever it's called nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, these are poor people. These are not, and a lot of these poor people are white poor people who voted for Trump because they thought he was in their corner, and they're finding out that he isn't. And if the Democrats mount a successful campaign, and I think that's what Bernie and AOC are doing, is they're going to try to capitalize on these type of things and make it a war between the haves and the have-nots, and all the people who are getting tax breaks who don't need them, and people who are getting their food stamps taken away. That's the way to do it, and we can thank the Republicans for it, because the Dems didn't have it before. They hadn't figured it out.
This is really true, and there is a stark reality that's going to only get more real. And this comment from Lanzetta: the Democratic establishment is dead. We can't just run on Medicaid and centrist policies. We need to address the wealth inequality problem in America. Yeah, but that's what Jim is saying, that the wealth inequality problem in America is going to become so stark, and the loss of these basic programs that so many Americans count on is going to become so real that you can't in any way deny your complicity in it if you're GOP. I mean, you're the reason that these programs are going away, and you're the reason that the wealth inequality problem has been supercharged. Now, we can have a real conversation about Democrats and their complicity when it comes to that wealth inequality. Obviously, that's something that's been brewing for a while. But wow, you look at that package of tax breaks to billionaires, and you look at the elimination of these government programs, and sorry, it's just undeniable. Now, the one thing I would say, Jim, of course, this is the deniable part, is that I saw Trump do something that I had never imagined he'd be able to do, and that is blame the Democrats. If anything happens to Medicaid, he said, it's because of the Democrats. Medicaid, I don't want to cut Medicaid. Medicaid's he just cut it. It was just in your bill. That's your bill. And you're calling the Democrats out for cutting it? So, it's what you were saying before. If he says that enough, maybe people will swallow it. But that would be the only way out, would just be pure deniability.
Yeah, it is. He also will try to get away with it because they pushed the cuts back a couple years. And so people won't start feeling that until after the 2024, the 2026 elections.
Yes.
And so, whoever decided to do that, put that in the bill, was pretty smart for the Republicans, because, people don't react until they see it in their paycheck.
That's exactly right. That was a political document in large measure, especially when it comes to that timing. Hey, I want to ask you about what's going on at the FBI, just because I think this is truly remarkable. There are now polygraph exams being administered at the FBI to seek out potential leakers at the FBI. And this also goes to other parts of the government, but these polygraphs are being administered at the FBI. And they are questioning loyalty to Trump, MAGA, and the current administration. And they're doing it through a series of polygraph exams, again, to root out betrayal and to root out leaks within the agency. This is being supervised by Kash Patel, who, as you know, is a MAGA jihadist.
And a crazy man. So the question of whether is going to be whether or not the Epstein stuff causes yet another rift in the Republicans, between the Republicans who are pushing for release and those who are now hiding what was supposed to be released. So that, they've got their own constituency upset about that too. But yes, what Kash Patel is doing, what Pam Bondi is, how do you even pay attention to somebody like that, who just repeats whatever the president wants her to say? That attorney generals have been, as a matter of history, independent in this country. The attorney general stood up to Richard Nixon. You can't, attorney generals, unfortunately, like Merrick Garland, had way too much power and prevented the prosecution of Donald Trump. And Biden couldn't do anything about it because he decided he was going to have an independent, which is what it's supposed to be. But Trump, of course, thrown out all the norms, not independent. He said from the beginning, he said when his first term that he wanted an attorney general in there who was going to be his attorney, not the country's attorney, but his attorney. And that's why he didn't like the Alabama Sessions guy, is because he didn't do enough of his bidding. So he got who he wants, and he even Barr couldn't stomach what Trump wanted him to do. So it's going to lead to a disaster over there. It probably already is. Lots of people. I mean, most FBI agents are attorneys. Most FBI agents can be quitting, and
you're saying that they're jobs for them in the private sector.
Yeah, they can move on. They can move elsewhere. And these they're destroying. So here's one of the things that I heard from, I can't remember which Republican it was, but it was a sane one, who said that we need to get the FBI refocused on terrorism. We just bombed Iran. They are looking for ways to attack us. And we're taking all of our money and all of our enforcement materials out of the FBI terrorism units and putting them in ICE, and in deporting people, not in protecting this country from what is a real threat, of some kind of terrorism, and that the FBI was the thing that, since 9/11 we haven't had any of those things. The FBI has done a pretty good job, and they ought to let them keep doing it.
In interviews and polygraph tests, the FBI has asked senior employees whether they have said anything negative about Kash Patel. According to two people with knowledge of the questions and others familiar with similar accounts, officials are forced to take a polygraph as the agency seeks to determine who disclosed to the news media that Kash Patel had demanded a service weapon, an unusual request given that he's not an agent. And a number of officials asked to take a polygraph test, the number of officials asked to take this test is in the dozens. The use of the polygraph and the nature of the questioning is part of the FBI's broader crackdown on news leaks, reflecting to a degree Patel's awareness of how he is publicly portrayed.
What else do you need to be convinced that this is a dictatorship and that this is, pretty soon, right now we're seeing the ICE folks out in uniform if their faces are hidden, but pretty soon it's going to be secret police.
Absolutely
And
right. Absolutely right.
When Trump unleashes his secret police, I'm sure that Kash Patel will have something to do with. That's where we're going to really have trouble. So
the political appointees that President Trump has put in position, they've already essentially tightened their grip on government in different ways. Patel is a great example, and he's forcing many people out of the FBI. So it's sort of this is all part and parcel of dry cleaning the agency of anyone who isn't in lockstep with Patel. And that's why these polygraph tests are very relevant to the way in which the agency is viewing enforcement and where their allegiance is. And the list of people who are involved in getting these tests has ballooned. Apparently, some of the most respected officials at the highest ranks of the Bureau are being subjected to these polygraph tests. And Bongino and Patel are scaring people at the FBI based on published reports. I mean, there are those who are afraid of repercussions for speaking out or for doing anything that's not perceived as completely loyal to the FBI and to MAGA. It's disturbing in the extreme. I agree.
Yeah,
So,
and one of the questions that I read somewhere was not are you loyal to the government, but are you loyal to Donald Trump? Those type of questions are dangerous, dangerous questions.
And speaking to something else that happened this week, Jim, and the notion that there could be, recriminations or there could be revenge of one sort visited on so many who run afoul of the administration. Look at how they're going again after Jim Comey and after Brennan. These are people who, again, they've opened up investigations on, and the idea is that these two are, this is old news, but they are essentially retilling this old soil, right? Looking at how far the Justice Department is going to go on these probes and how they are. And now Brennan ran the CIA, right? And Comey ran the FBI. And
they're running and they're following them around town in their cars. The Secret Service is tailing James Comey.
This is about the 2016 election, okay? I mean, this is insanity. This is a personal grudge of the president being played out this way.
And of course, many Democrats believe that Comey's to blame for Trump being elected. And Trump
I made that point the other day. The irony is crazy. Yeah, I believe it. It's look, that election in 2016 was decided by a little over 40,000 votes. You don't think that the Comey announcement 10 days before that he's reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email, you don't think that had an effect? I mean, I think it's absolutely something that did affect the election. And so this guy, I'm not a Comey fan, but this guy is someone who absolutely delivered in part that election to Donald Trump. And so it is the richest irony that he would be subject to an investigation.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'm going to let you go here in 1 minute. I just wanted to get one word from you about the IRS and churches. It has nothing to do with MAGA per se, but it's sort of where we're going. The IRS issued a statement and issued it was I guess it's an official statement, but it's more than just a statement. It's the wrong word. It was a finding or a new status that has conferred churches a certain freedom to produce political material and to endorse political candidates without fear of losing their tax-exempt status. It was a federal court filing. That's the word I wanted. I wonder if you could just speak to this, because it sort of cuts to, again, the core of what America has been.
Well, I mean, all the institutions are being destroyed by him, by Trump, and then religious fever is being restored, not by his followers, not by him. Obviously, he hasn't been to church in ever, but it's a dangerous place to be because it's exactly what the founders didn't want us to be. They didn't want us to be influenced by the church. They didn't want the Church of England, as it is in England, to have a place in government, standing right beside the prime minister, or right beside the queen or king. One of the whole purposes of coming here and declaring independence was to declare independence from the power of the church as well as the power of the government.
Yeah. It's something I would say also, Jim, that on some level has been implied for a long time. That is to say, preachers, rabbis, holy people, men and women, I think they've encouraged a political discourse of one sort or another. They've encouraged even voting one way or another. But there's never been this sort of get out of jail free card on, sure, you can actually endorse a candidate and expect everybody in the congregation to vote for that candidate and risk none of your tax exempt status. I think that's it's again doing something that might have been hinted at in the past, and it's doing it in now a blatant way that clearly has the endorsement of the new IRS, as you say, of the new administration.
Yeah, there's a line that has always been there, and it's not there now, and the IRS is going to let that go. I mean, some of the best elections I ever covered were in black churches. So, yeah, yes, they would tell you to vote for Harold Washington. There's no doubt about it in Chicago. But it was all kind of done in a tongue-in-cheek. Let's sing a bunch of hymns. But now it's very serious business, and I don't know what the IRS is going to do on this, but evidently they are going to just allow them to politic.
Exactly. Hey, feel better, my friend. Continue your improving on
Thank
the
you.
health front. We love you. We miss you, and are so glad that you still make time for us and are able to rally, because your perspectives are really valued by our crew. So thank you.
Thanks. It's great being here. Take care.
Okay, Jim Avila, everybody. Right on. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I don't know. I'm very excited about this show today. We've done a lot of stuff.
What?
Yeah. He is handsome, that picture of Avila. Look at that. Wow. You gotta, with those pictures, you gotta have that. You don't want to be too smiley because you're like an award-winning reporter, correspondent, but you can't be unfriendly. So Avila really did a nice job with that, semi-smile. So what do you want to do here? Albert, you're the captain of this ship.
We are somehow on time today for the
Snyder?
good old culture blaster, unless you want to get to some things before that.
I
think
could do
we have a couple super chats in here.
Yeah, let's throw some super chats in. And all right, here's a quick check of those who have interacted with the show, done some super chatting. I will quickly address them if there are any.
The only reason I'm here is because you are a friend.
All right, thank you, Elon. Zoe, I love that name, Zoe. Zoe Rose with a $5 super chat. I wish George Carlin was still here to call out Trump. His material is still so relevant even today. Yeah. Boy, you cue up the Carlin stuff, and it really is applicable to everything. There is nothing that is dated about the Carlin comments on society and politics. So right. Thank you, Zoe. Eugenio de Arnal with a $5 super sticker. What
The
up?
only reason I'm here is because you are a friend.
All right. Well, thank you, Eugenio. Appreciate that. Vilma The Trump administration considers all illegal immigrants as criminals as defined by them. No, that's right. Let's be clear about it. MAGA Nation views all undocumented immigrants, laborers, or others as illegal and wants them out. That really was the thing that fueled the about face by Trump when he seemed to soften to the needs of the farming community. All of a sudden, he got blowback from MAGA, and that's when he pivoted and said, no, 100%. We're going to get rid of everybody who is undocumented in this country. But what you're realizing also just on that, Spencer Jeffy, there's a quick shout out to you.
Big shout out.
Thank you for a $2 super sticker. But what you're realizing on that is you're going to courthouses and arresting people who legitimately are involved in the processes associated with seeking asylum.
Yeah.
These are people who are lawfully following the processes to either have asylum granted or not. You're going to the courthouse, the place you've told them to go, to lawfully pursue that process. Over and over and over again, you're going there. So you've created a situation at the courthouses, deliberately this has happened. You've created a situation at the courthouses where they don't want to go now lawfully. You've made them break the law. They don't show up to their court hearing, and now you go after them for not showing up to the court hearing. It's ruthless.
Yeah.
Absolutely ruthless. All right, Albert. Now I'm in a bad mood over all of this. I don't know what to do. I just
I think if anybody
I
can,
don't know.
if anybody can put you in a good mood, it's the culture blaster, Michael Snyder.
That is true, Kim. I think you're onto something there. And so with great anticipation,
The Mark Thompson Show.
we have big movies that are opening, have opened. We have big streamers that are streaming or gonna stream. We have stuff happening that has happened. It's gonna happen. And we have a person who is without peer. He attends all these crappy screenings of some cruddy film. Then he attends some fabulous screening of some fabulous film. Off the beaten track, on the mainstream. He deserves a long intro, and that's why I've given him a long intro. His name is Michael Snyder, but he is the Culture Blaster. I know. He comes and goes on a rainbow. How about it, Snyder? Nice to see you.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, as the people say, or as Mickey Mouse used to say. Greetings, Mark. Hi, Kim. Hi, Albert. And hello, everybody out there in MTS land. I have missed you. I took last week off since we were dark on July 4th. I don't know about you, but I celebrated what I'm now calling End of Independence Day by rounding up some illegal fireworks. I rounded them up and I ignited them with a burning copy of the Constitution. Anyway, all fears of American fascism aside, I did get to go out to Oracle Park a few days ago to see my boyhood team, the Philadelphia Phillies, take on the team I have supported throughout adulthood, the San Francisco Giants. And I witnessed the boys in orange and black and purple. Yeah, they were in their psychedelic City Connect uniforms, win in the bottom of the 9th inning on an inside the park walk-off home run by light-hitting catcher Patrick Bailey. Mark, it was the first time I witnessed an inside the park homer, and it resulted in a Giants victory. I mean, the ball was bouncing off the right field brick wall. The Phillies outfielders were chasing after it. Bailey's chugging home. The crowd's going bonkers. All it needed was Boots Randolph's yakety sax, like Benny Hill style. It would have been amazing. Oh, my God. It was amazing. And
Albert commented on it. It was pretty terrific. Yeah. If you're,
it was great. So
yeah,
speaking of high entertainment value, shall we get to the films?
Please, please.
Okay, so we may take a deep dive here because it's a comic book movie, and you know me, I've been a comic book fan since childhood. The new big screen interpretation of Superman, who was in fact the first comic book superhero, is intended as the cornerstone of Warner Brothers' relaunch of the DC Comics universe under the guidance of filmmaker James Gunn. And of course, the maggots are in an uproar that Superman has been outed by Gunn as an undocumented immigrant to America. You know, the guy that was known as a strange visitor from another planet since his creation in the late 1930s by two Jewish immigrants in Cleveland, Ohio. But I digress.
But wait a minute. Let me just ask you about this, because I did have a follow-up before. Wasn't Superman found in a field, a little swaddling kind of infant?
Yeah, in a little rocket ship, and he was found.
Oh,
by,
he was found in a rocket ship. Okay.
Yeah, he was found by Ma and Pa Ken, a couple of kindly Kansas farmer types, and
they never told anybody that he was in a rocket ship, or how did that go?
No. They delivered him in mythology, the Superman myth, that is. They take him to an orphanage, and they say, if no one else wants the kid, we would love to claim him as ours. And that's how they got the kid. They said he was a foundling.
Oh,
and
that's interesting. Okay.
In a lot of ways, the Superman origin is very much the Moses story. Moses is set adrift in the river and found in the weeds by essentially adoptive parents. Actually, he's found by Pharaoh's daughter, I think.
Yeah, Pharaoh's daughter, exactly.
But I mean, yeah, the Jews let him go. Anyway.
When is that movie coming out?
I think we're going to see a new version of it very soon. Anyway,
go back to it. I was just curious about the origin story. Please continue.
So this Superman is fun and worth seeing for fans of the genre, but it feels like the second installment in the series where there are references to his history, but no touchstones at the start. I mean, I understand Gunn not wanting to retell the familiar origin of baby Kal-El sent to Earth by his parents as their home planet Krypton exploded, found by the kindly couple, raised as Clark Kent as his powers develop, becoming a reporter for the Daily Planet newspaper in Metropolis, saving lives in his blue and red costumed identity, falling for fellow reporter Lois Lane, etc. Instead, this latest movie introduction of Superman starts what we call in media res. Things are already progressing. It's right after the big blue Boy Scouts aborted battle with a supervillain, which is okay, but this lacks the inherent drama of the beginning of filmmaker Gunn's first Guardian of the Galaxy movie for Marvel. I mean, we do get to see Clark at the Daily Planet with Lois, young photographer Jimmy Olsen, gruff editor Perry White, and a few other notables, but not for long. There's a brief interlude with Lois, which is sweet, and then all hell breaks loose, courtesy of the evil Lex Luthor and his dastardly plans. I mean, we never really get to know this new iteration of these characters enough to really bond with them, in my opinion. And all of Gunn's broad humor, which is generally funny and works in his Guardian movies and Suicide Squad, etc., is present here and generates some laughs, but it kind of trivializes the movie a bit, making it more comic booky, and I think some people would like that, but undercutting Superman's nobility and gravitas. I mean, the Lois and Clark stuff is rom-com charming, but to its credit, it's got a great cast, even if they're somewhat underused. David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult are spot on in their roles as a corny, soft-hearted Superman, a feisty Lois, and a vindictive, power-mad, alien-hating tech king and would-be dictator Lex Luthor. He's like a horrifying hybrid of Trump and Musk. It's really very of the moment in that. But the movie is so jammed with other heroes and villains that Lois gets short shrift, despite her great chemistry with Clark. Lots of characters are presumed to be familiar to the audience with little backstory, rendering them a bit more shallow than I'd like. Some of Superman's fellow metahumans are introduced as the Justice Gang, Hawk Girl, played by Isabella Merced from The Last of Us, Mr. Terrific, played by Eddie Gathegi, and
what does Mr. Terrific do?
He is a brilliant scientist who is known as the second or third smartest person on the planet. And so he has all this great technological skill. Hawkgirl, has wings and can fly. You never understand the why and the how of Hawkgirl. And finally, the third in this trio of Justice Gang members is the smirking Guy Gardner, who was played by Nathan Fillion. I always love him, as the douchiest member of the power ring wearing, space spanning Green Lantern Corps. although we only know about his provenance from reading DC Comics or seeing previous movies or animated cartoons. So, also, by the way, I'm not sure that I'm buying the ultra hick version of Ma and Pa Kent. They're good-hearted and everything, but they do seem like they came from a movie in the 1930s. All right. So let's wrap this up. This multi-thread plot is literally all over the map with the Daily Planet stuff, Luthor's machinations, a pocket universe, a giant kaiju attack, and a worse super science crisis that endangers Metropolis, the Justice Gang, the introduction of Crypto the super dog, who steals every scene he's in, grabbing hold of it like it's his favorite chew toy. And finally, and this should be of interest to you, Mark, a geopolitical war front that echoes two current real-world conflicts. And still, it's a decency positive, big screen, action-packed spectacle, even if the various battle sequences are now standard CGI fests.
How long is it, Michael?
It's about 2 hours plus.
Okay, that's not bad.
Dude, it's about a paragon of virtue and a beacon of hope. I just wish it was more inspired or inspiring. I'm kind of on the fence. It's okay.
Is his outfit by lore made out of the blanket that surrounded him when he was found in the spacecraft?
The initial introduction of how the uniform came to be is, in fact, that, Mark. So your Wikipedia-like memory has
I
served
remember
you well.
that. That's what I remember. Somebody was giving me a hard time. I can't believe Mark Thompson doesn't know the Superman. So, sorry, I don't know every little. I was right about he's found in the swaddling thing by the farmers, and I remember that his outfit was made from the.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
I didn't remember I didn't remember that brought him to an orphenage. I do remember that.
That's one of the many changing origins. Some people say that some stories have Ma and Pa Kent finding him right before the winter and revealing him in the spring, saying that Ma Kent had him during the dark of winter and they'd been blessed by a baby. I look,
yeah.
There's a plethora. There's a plethora of origins, but
Cassandra says this from Kill Bill: Superman is the only superhero who doesn't transform into a superhero. He is more than everybody, but pretends to be less than everybody. That's a really good point.
That is true, Cassandra. And let me say that Corin Sweat is a wonderful Clark Kent, maybe the best we've had since Christopher Reeve. He's a wonderful, lovable Clark Kent, and his Superman is good too. I just wanted more, and I certainly didn't want to just leap into it with no dramatic grounding to start with. And I think that's what you get in some movies. So this felt like the second film in a series.
Right, I get it.
I want to talk about a movie that I have unequivocal love for. May I?
Sure, please.
Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight is the feature film directorial debut of Beth Davids, who is also one of the stars of the movie and wrote the screenplay. It's based on Alexandra Fuller's memoir, which is set in Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, during the end of the Zimbabwean War for Independence against the British colonizers in 1980. And it basically recounts a pivotal time in the childhood of the author, who is known as Bobo, that's her nickname, on her family farm as she kind of navigates the conflict and its aftermath. Davids does a phenomenal job in all three phases of the movie with a letter-perfect script, sensitive direction, and a powerhouse performance. And by the way, Davids, who you may know from her stellar work in Schindler's List, Ray Donovan, The Morning Show, Mad Men, some Spider-Man movies, and more, is an American with South African lineage, and those roots clearly give her an advantage in doing this adaptation. Her performance as Bobo's mother embodies the privilege, the anger, and the arrogance of the interloper, whose husband is part of the military trying to suppress what they look upon as an uprising, even as she and her family have truly bonded to their environment, but it's not their native land, The mother, the father, and the actors playing the native Zimbabweans are crucial and excellent, but they are, in fact, supporting players in service of an astonishing young actress named Lexi Venter, who plays Bobo with remarkable verity and kind of an offhand naturalism. Venter is the heart of Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight, letting us see the strife and the horror through innocent eyes at first. She simply reflects the superior attitudes of her mother towards the family's black servants until her emotional attachments and the dangers of the conflict wake the kid up to the truth of the situation. Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight is one of my favorite movies of the year to date. It's kind of up there with Sinners. It is available to be seen in select theaters. It will open a little wider next week, but boy, I thought it was good.
Wow. All right. Love it. Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight is
another fascinating and
so
thought-provoking movie, I got to get to this, is Sovereign. Again, this is something like Don't Let's Go to the Dogs that I think you'd be interested in watching, Mark. Sovereign is in some ways about a dysfunctional father-son relationship, and in other ways is about the deep political, intellectual, and spiritual divide and economic disparity in contemporary American society. Nick Offerman delivers a stunning, fine-tuned performance. It's as good as I've ever seen from this excellent, versatile actor. You know him from comedy for the most part, but man, this is crackerjack stuff. He plays an anti-establishment, anti-authoritarian named Jerry Kane, whose beliefs are built on the idea that the government cannot tell him what to do. And he tours the country giving lectures on how to fight back against what he thinks is an unfair and unjust system, assisted by his teenage son, Joseph, who was played by former child actor Jacob Tremblay, growing up and reaching new depths on the performance side. During their travels, the two encounter Police Chief Jim Bouchard, played by Dennis Quaid. I know he's a right-wing lunatic, but this is a great role for him, and he delivers. And the eventual result of the father and son crossing paths with the police chief is memorable and disturbing, especially when you realize that the story is inspired by actual people and events. Director and screenwriter Christian Sweigel has made a movie that may haunt you, but I recommend it as worthwhile viewing in these tumultuous times.
Wow, it's called Sovereign?
Sovereign. It's in select theaters and available for streaming on demand. Let's do some quickies before we wrap up, if you don't mind.
I certainly don't mind.
Okay, so Push is the horror movie of the week. It's okay. It's about a pregnant woman named Natalie Flores, played by Alicia Sands, and she is on the verge
Let me
of
guess,
giving
she's
birth.
pregnant with the devil's spawn.
No. That's what you'd expect, but that's not what happens here. Instead, she is a realtor. She comes from Spain to America. She's pregnant. The father of the child is not in the picture, and she has a real estate license. So she's trying to sell this big house that's been on the market for a while and nobody's been able to move. And one of the clients who comes on this day that is like a pivotal day with her kind of almost against the wall with the sale of the house.
One of the clients is the devil.
No, you're wrong again. But this guy is a bad guy, and this turns into one of those, trapped in the house situations. And of course, while this is going on, she goes into labor. I don't want to say much more about it, but the issues I had with this film, other than kind of the weird, murky, and deliberate pacing, is that the villain, played by Raul Castillo, you never get a real grip on his backstory. You don't understand why he's the way he is. His powers are kind of strange, and I won't say supernatural, but things begin happening that kind of make little or no sense in terms of what Push is trying to do.
I don't mean to spoil the movie, but does he buy the house from her or not?
She does manage to sell the house and live happily ever after. I'm lying. That is not what happens.
Okay.
David Charbonnier and Justin Powell are the co-directors, co-screenwriters. There is kind of a lovely, creepy moodiness to this, but, I sometimes bring up the comedian George Miller, who said, buy the premise and you buy the bit. Not really getting a grip on what this devilish, he's not the devil, this horrible killing machine is all about. The whys and the hows in clear form works to the detriment of the movie. Push, by the way,
but nobody dies in this, right, Michael?
I really am not at liberty to say, Mark.
Mark, it's a horror film. Everybody dies. Oh,
It's
okay.
available for it's direct to streaming. We weren't
nothing.
around last week. I want to quickly talk about Jurassic World.
Oh, yeah.
This is a classic Mark Thompson time waster.
No, go ahead.
Jurassic World Rebirth, if you will, they're kind of short on new ideas. The Jurassic World movies are very popular, and this has been a box office smash. It's been out since the July 4th holiday. This franchise is not quite as extinct as its beasties, the dinosaurs, but maybe it should be. It does ape some moments of the iconic Spielberg original, which was a movie with a fresh and exciting premise, a stellar execution, characters that earned our affection. 7 movies on, Jurassic World Rebirth is kind of like a magnificent tinker toy with stunning effects work, thinly drawn characters, and a pretty predictable outcome.
What is the premise of this 7th incarnation of this film?
I'm going to get to it.
Right.
Essentially, the dinosaurs who were let loose on the rest of the world in previous films have been driven back to the equator, and they actually have in their blood what might be cure-alls for horrible diseases that humans fall victim to. So some scientists and some mercenaries head to an island where they are in order to try to get this plasma for the betterment of mankind, except one of the guys on the trip wants to actually get it for pharmaceutical, big pharma reasons and weaponize it. So, of course, there's always a fly in the ointment. So the director is Gareth Edwards, and he's done well by some previous giant monsters, including Godzilla. And most of these action sequences kind of churn and burn. But the script by screenwriter David Koepp, at his most cavalier, is almost Jurassic boilerplate. I mean, you do get Scarlett Johansson doing her Black Widow girl boss thing as the tough mercenary.
I like that. Yeah.
Tough mercenary hero. Then again, there's some blatant product placement, which was a distracting. Look, as an occasional customer, I never thought I'd be offended to see a tin of Altoids, but anyway, it's okay. The supporting cast includes Mahershala Ali, who's wonderful, Jonathan Bailey, Rupert Friend. It's
so they poured some money into the casting, but you're saying it's sort of like it's just getting tired as a franchise.
Bargain matinee. All right, quickies. Sorry, baby.
Somebody's asking about Heads of State, the Prime movie Heads of State.
I'm getting to that.
Okay, I just want to mention some interest in it. Just settle down. Jeez,
I just want to quickly say, Sorry, Baby is a wonderful first-time movie by writer, director, and star Eva Victor. It's a smart, tender, and surprisingly wry look at one bright, quirky, and promising woman's attempt to move on in her life after experiencing trauma, a sexual assault. As writer, director, actress Eva Victor puts it, it's a bad thing. There's also a lot about the healing power of having a cat around the house, Mark.
I love that. I love it.
I love it. So Victor is Agnes. It is a lovely film. I don't want to get into too much depth, but I highly recommend.
And where can I see Sorry Baby?
Sorry Baby is in select theaters. I hope to God your theater is selected.
All right.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
No, I am very much going. I might go this weekend to Sorry Baby. Go ahead,
Okay.
Michael.
40 Acres is a pretty cool dystopian action movie starring the great and award-winning actress Danielle Deadwyler as the head of a kind of family on a farm, and they are surrounded by desperate people willing to kill to get food and access to food. And so it's a rock'em sock'em situation.
Okay.
Society may have gone to hell, but the Freemans are surviving on their farm. And of course, a young woman shows up who may be Eve to one of the young men's Adam. It's quite good. Director R.T. Thorne co-wrote the script, and I thought it was, as these things go, pretty damn good. It's called 40 Acres. Terrific cast, lots of tension, and we've seen these creepy science fiction dystopian films before, and this is another one, but it worked for me.
And where is it?
It is in select theaters, and soon, hopefully, you'll be able to watch it at home. Now I got to get to Heads of State. I know you've been waiting. Heads of State is much better and more entertaining than it had any right to be. It's a bickering buddies action comedy wherein the oil and water pair is John Cena's Reagan meets Trump big screen hero turned populist POTUS and Idris Elba's Straight Arrow ex-military man turned British prime minister. It is a preposterous romp through international espionage, diplomacy, and global hotspots. It's like the idiot offspring of Lethal Weapon and Air Force One. I was there for every lunatic moment of Heads of State, and also good supporting work by Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who gets a nice meaty role as an MI6 agent who has a relationship with the PM. John Cena is a treat. He's just a treat. And Idris Elba is one of our finest actors. I know it's trivial, but this was one of the times when I could just say, bring it on. It's available for streaming on Amazon Prime Video. How about that?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Wow. What a buffet of entertainment.
I saw this Heads of State, and it was a total bubblegum movie, and I enjoyed it. I don't know why I enjoyed it, but I just found it amusing.
Yeah.
Those guys can sail on charm alone, but this was fun and funny, Kim. I'm totally in agreement with you on Heads of State.
It's not fake. That's real.
Yeah, there's a lot of agreement, and people really are into
oh, girl, baby girl. Don't even play.
Heads of State. Check it out, Idris Elba, John Cena, and you can stream it on Amazon. 40 Acres, the dystopian action movie. It's the end of times. Food is not available. It's a fight over what's left. 40 Acres, Michael Snyder liked it. He said, check it out. It's in select theaters. Soon we'll be streaming and opening wide. Sorry, Baby. First-time film for this director. And apparently, a winner. Michael really liked Sorry, Baby. A woman recovering from, was it a divorce, I think you said?
No, it was sexual assault. Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
Which often leads to a divorce. You're absolutely right.
Who is having that conversation?
I'm sorry. I misspoke, really, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway,
I stand corrected.
Okay, so Sorry, Baby is a film that he really liked. He didn't want to reveal a bunch more details, except there is a cat, and we love cats, and I'm glad that there's a cat.
It was great. I loved it.
All right. Now, that's Sorry, Baby. And that's, by the way, that's streamable or that's in select theaters? Where is that?
It's in select theaters. I'd love people to support Ms. Victor's work, which is charming and very astute and lovely. But I do know that it'll play well at home as well.
Okay. Eva Victor is who he's talking about, the director, I think. Is it?
Yeah.
The Jurassic World offering, Jurassic World Rebirth. The Gareth Edwards directed project, chock full of big stars like Scarlett Johansson. Michael says, it's the seventh one, kind of running out of some steam. Feels as though it's not getting the full culture blaster endorsement.
No, it's a popcorn movie that, like I said earlier, basically apes a lot of the beats from previous films, but it's well executed. And again, the technology keeps increasing by leaps and bounds. So you'll believe a dinosaur
so at least
can.
There's that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can believe a dinosaur can chomp a human in half.
Okay. That's Jurassic World Rebirth. Is it? What's the next one? The horror film? Is it called
Push? Yeah.
Push. That's right. This is the pregnant woman.
Yeah.
She's the realtor. She's here from Spain trying to sell a big house. She is pregnant, and I guess she goes into labor while she's trying to sell this big house. And apparently, the guy who is maybe supposedly going to buy the house, he is a villainous, evil guy. It is a horror film, so you have to be ready for some horror, I guess.
Yeah, it's not very gory, but yeah, there's that whole haunted house vibe and the lunatic chasing the pregnant woman. You get the deal.
I do. So that's Push. Sovereign is the dysfunctional father-son relationship. There's economic disparity that's being played out. Nick Offerman, as an anti-establishment guy, goes around the country. There's Jacob Tremblay, the former child actor who is sort of there with him. And Dennis Quaid, apparently, wacko in real life, but plays a really great role here. Michael like Sovereign. Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight is a film based on a memoir, the life of Alexandra Fuller. This depicts her childhood in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, and their family farm life. Michael really likes this movie. Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight is in select theaters. Superman, the James Gunn directed offering, the iconic comic book character. It is picking up, sort of in a sense, Michael says, as though we'd seen Superman 1. It almost feels like it is Superman 2. You don't get a lot of backstory. You pick up the Man of Steel while he's in action. Plus, it sounds to me like there are a bunch of other comic book characters who are also entering the fray with Superman.
Man. Metamorpho the Element Man, played by Anthony Carrigan of TV's Barry. He was like the bald Eastern European mob guy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's a wonderful actor. And the character's introduced, and it's, again, there's no sense of where he's coming from, why he's the way he is. You know, there are other connecting characters to that character that aren't really given any kind of, screen time. So, there are flaws here, but it's kind of fun.
Well, I'm excited to possibly see it or at least hear about it. I love walking through entertainment with you. There's no one I'd rather walk through entertainment. By the way, I was encouraged to know that there's actually a cartoon character named Mr. Terrific, which is what Michael revealed in his review of Superman. Mr. Terrific apparently is like the smartest guy in the world or something.
They're the second or third smartest guy in the world.
They're always jockeying. Yeah, let's see.
He's a tech.
This is Casey Kasem in Hollywood.
Yeah, this is Casey. Mr. Terrific moves up one spot this week to number 2. He's the second smartest man in the world.
That is exactly the situation.
Find Michael Snyder at thevoicesf.org. You can find him here on Fridays. His musings at thevoicesf.org give you a chance to really see the kind of great writer he is and how he reflects on life.
Yeah, the current column is about the way series and TV shows end. Sometimes the finales are good, sometimes they're not. So check it out if you get a chance. And I will be checking out Dodgers Giants this weekend at Oracle Park. Titanic battle. And I hope to actually be in studio with you next week. I'm going to be up and away and out of San Francisco, hopefully.
I'll welcome you to the studio as I do always with open arms. Michael, you are a gift to us. You come and go on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
So long, everybody.
Yeah, wow. Michael Snyder, pretty big deal. Always love having him through.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Here's a question for Albert, and it's one that I ask from time to time myself, Albert, and I want you to answer it. Let me find it. It's right here in the, I'm trying to do many things. People don't realize that I have a lot of stuff to keep track of. So it's very, very hard to always, stay on point and focused at the same time that I'm not.
Do you know who I am?
Thank you.
I'm kind of a big deal.
That's right.
While you're looking for that, let me read Luis's comment. State Department has started mass firings of more than 1,300 civil servants. Thanks for your service. Have a nice weekend. Love, gutless little Marco.
Yeah, Marco Rubio, who is folding like a pup tent to the demands of Donald Trump, is, of course, getting rid of so much of the State Department. And really, who needs diplomats when the world is already this tranquil place? Everybody gets along so well. Ask this question, Albert. Why is Kim and Albert's microphone so much louder than yours, Mark?
Oh, uh-oh.
We've talked about this before, Albert. Now, have we clicked the automatic volume adjustment?
Yeah.
We did. This week
automatic.
we did. Today we did.
I'm just following orders here. We're all automatic. I would usually I do notice Kim's mic is a little hotter. I would turn her down, but we're trying this new method that StreamYard
I'll tell
gives
you
us.
that we have noted this repeatedly. Kim's mic is louder than everybody else's. Now, I don't know why that is, and it's not.
Kim, how are you?
It's not her fault.
The
Most
universe
things
knows that what I have to say is more important, basically. Yeah.
Most things on this show that go badly are her fault, but this one is not her fault. So I will take a meeting on what's going on.
I blame you.
And we'll see if we can figure out what the situation is. Meantime, I'm sorry that my microphone is not as loud as Kim's. Maybe if Kim would relax a little bit, not feel like she has to weigh in on every little utterance, you wouldn't notice the difference.
Are you serious right now?
No, Kim is louder than everyone else, says Michael.
Which is weird because it doesn't sound that way to me. So
Kim should have the loudest mic. Who said that?
That's right.
The Surface Spin says that.
Thank you, the Surface. Yes.
I'll tell you what I would recommend. If you like Kim and you feel like she should have the loudest mic all the time, and I can't fault you for feeling that way, you'll love her podcast because all you have on her podcast is Kim cranked up to 11. She is KIMMMM exclamation point. So go for it. Find her at the After Party Live. Subscribe. Get her to her magic number, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I saw her pitching for subs. It's kind of embarrassing, I think, Albert, when she takes our show and she jumps into the console and go, don't forget, please subscribe to my podcast. I mean,
I love a shameless plug, Kim. I love that.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you.
Kim, how are you?
Just keep turning my microphone up, Albert. Keep it up.
Albert, thank you.
Kim sounds crisp and clear. So, Mark, is that why you yell sometimes? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that is the reason.
Why are you yelling?
Yes, subliminally, I realize I can't be heard. Thanks for a good week, everybody. Yeah, there's a lot in the world that concerns us. We'll get right back into it on Monday. We've got some great guests in the pipeline coming back as well. Kim's show is next, the After Party Live, and everyone have a great weekend. Go Giants, and Shadow, if you would.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Johnson Show. Bye-bye.
Albert, thank you. Kim, thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Contributors, super stickers, super chatters. Until Monday. Bye-bye.